My mother has always disliked me. When I was little, she told the neighbors I was a green tea bitch who seduced my dad into buying me dolls. When I grew up and a boy gave me a love letter, she said I was a shameless flirt who knew how to sell myself. Later, that boy threatened me with sulfuric acid, forcing me to be with him. I told my mom, but she grabbed my hair and slammed my head against the mirror. It's because you look cheap. Why is it always you who gets into this kind of trouble? In the end, I was brutally assaulted on my way to school and died from my severe injuries, but when my mom saw me, she said, "Who told you to sleep around? You deserve to be beaten to death." I died with hatred in my heart, and when I opened my eyes again, my mother stormed into the classroom holding a love letter, yelling that I wasn't worthy of being her daughter. I lifted my head with a cold sneer. Being your daughter is the most disgusting thing I've ever done in my life. I was working on a problem in the classroom when a sudden commotion erupted outside the door. "Auntie, who are you looking for?" a classmate asked. Then a gust of wind swept by, and before I could even look up, someone slapped me hard across the face. The whole class was stunned. I covered my cheek and saw my mother standing in front of me, looking absolutely furious. "Lisa, you even dare to accept love letters. How desperate for a man are you?" She raised the envelope in her hand and suddenly hurled it right at my face. "You're so young, yet you already know how to flirt and seduce men. You have no shame. I should have strangled you the moment you were born. You don't deserve to be my daughter." Mom always liked to use such words to hurt me. She knew that no matter how she hit or scolded me, I would never get angry, but as long as she said, "I don't have a daughter like you," I would kneel down in panic, begging her not to abandon me. In my past life, she took advantage of this, forcing me to cut off my long hair with scissors in public and slap myself 50 times. Finally, when the corners of my mouth were swollen and bleeding, she wrote the letters, JN, on my body with a marker pen. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, I felt as if I had been stripped naked, with countless swords piercing through me. Because of this, I developed depression and started sleeping excessively. She then called me lazy, accused me of making excuses to skip school, and told me to go die. Now, she was spewing the most vicious words at me, yet she stood with her hands on her hips and her head held high, waiting for me to kneel and apologize. I stared at her distorted face and sneered coldly, speaking in a voice only the two of us could hear. "Being your daughter is the most disgusting thing in my life. If it weren't for that accident, I shouldn't have come into this world." Back then, my dad was the school heartthrob and had a childhood sweetheart as his girlfriend, while my mom was madly pursuing him. After being rejected repeatedly, on the eve of my dad's engagement, my mom offered him a drink under the pretense of apologizing. It was on that very night that my mom became pregnant with me. Father's fiancée couldn't accept this reality, went abroad, and soon after suffered from depression, ultimately taking her own life. Coincidentally, on the very day she died, I was born. In his despair, father married mother for my sake. The neighbors said that when I was first born, mother loved me dearly and treated me very well, completely changing from her former self, even her speech becoming gentle and soft, until, when I was 3 years old, an uncle held me and carefully looked me over, then suddenly laughed and said, "Hey, Oldley, doesn't your daughter look just like that person? What a coincidence." I'm almost starting to believe in reincarnation. I didn't know who that person referred to, but at that moment, Dad's face suddenly changed, and Mom, as if gone mad, rushed over and grabbed me, staring at me wide-eyed for a long time. From that day on, Mom seemed like a completely different person, becoming intensely hateful toward me. She no longer picked me up from school, no longer bought me pretty dresses, and no longer made beautiful dolls for me. She began to hit me, scold me, and call me worthless. She would grab my hair in the middle of the night, press me in front of the mirror, and say with a terrifying grimace, "No wonder your father spoils you so much. It turns out you're that bitch reincarnated to take revenge on me. I will never give you another chance to steal my happiness." At this moment, my mother never expected I would say such words. She widened her eyes in disbelief. The class monitor hurried over to mediate. "Auntie, please don't be angry. Lisa is a good person. Many people like her. It's not her fault that she received a love letter." But these words undoubtedly struck a sensitive nerve in my mother. "What? Is this vixen look what you men like the most?" She stared at me, tearing the love letter into pieces with force, scattering them over my head. "Lisa, I am your mother. As long as I am here, you will never escape my control." That evening, with my father away on a business trip, I had just stepped into the house when I saw my mother holding a very small black strap. She looked at the object in her hand with satisfaction. and with a slight tug of her fingers, the strap would quickly snap back. I was all too familiar with that thing. It was a chest binder, a very tight one, tight enough to make a person feel suffocated. Lisa, every single word you said to me in the classroom today, I remember it clearly. Mom stared at me coldly, then suddenly said with a hint of mercy, I bought you something. As long as you wear it, I can let this matter go. In my past life, she did the same, humiliating me publicly during the day, then forcing me into a chest binder at night under the guise of punishment. The pain was unbearable, and I began to struggle and resist. My mother deliberately left the door open and said viciously in my ear, if you want everyone to see those 2 ounces of flesh on your body, keep screaming. I know you have no shame. Later, I was tied so tightly that I couldn't hold back my tears. Just then, Aunt Huang, who lived in the same building, came home and came over to intervene after hearing the noise, but my mother said to her, Huang, no wonder a 30-year-old woman like you can't get married. You're just as promiscuous as Lisa. You deserve to be alone for the rest of your life. Aunt Huang stormed off in a rage, and from then on, no one was willing to meddle in my family's affairs. Thinking of this, I smiled and took it. All right. The next second, meeting her triumphant gaze, I pulled a pair of scissors from my pocket and viciously shredded the chest binder. Lisa, are you insane? I sneered and threw the tattered cloth at her feet. The ancient dynasty has been gone for how many years now, and there are still people buying chest-binding cloths. You're a woman yourself. Why don't you wear this thing? Mom said with self-righteous conviction. Isn't it because you're flaunting yourself everywhere, flirting left and right? If you didn't look so cheap, would anyone come looking for you? It takes 2 to tango. If you're receiving love letters, you must have given them some kind of signal. Why didn't things like this happen when I was in school? I looked at her expressionlessly. I just thought. So it's true that there are mothers in this world who envy their own daughters and wholeheartedly want them to repeat their own bleak past. At the end of the day, my mother was screaming and cursing outside my room, while I locked the door, spread out my books, and carefully went through all the problems the teacher had explained during the day. In the past, I had devoted all my thoughts to figuring out how to make my mother like me. In 7th grade, I ranked first in the city on an exam. When my mom found out, she beat me with a leather whip and said, what's the point of a girl studying so well? Isn't it just to attract men? I despise such show-offs. Because of her words, I started deliberately filling in wrong answers on exams from then on, consistently ranking among the bottom 3 in my class. Every time my mom saw my report card with such results, she would become unusually happy, and her attitude toward me would briefly improve. And because of this, in my 2nd year of high school, when classes were divided, I ended up in the worst class in the entire grade, and I became classmates with the person who would ultimately cause my death. From the moment I stepped into that classroom, my life completely sank into an endless nightmare. At this thought, I shuddered and gripped my pen even tighter, blocking out all the noise around me. In the days that followed, I studied tirelessly, brushing off my mother's attempts to belittle me no matter what she said. She went around telling the neighbors that I was stupid but pretending to study hard, frivolous and promiscuous, and disrespectful to my parents. She even went to my teacher's office and, in front of my classmates, declared, Lisa isn't cut out for studying. All she thinks about every day is dating. As for how my classmates might gossip behind my back or what the neighbors would think of me when they saw me, my mother didn't care. She just wanted to spare no effort in tarnishing my reputation, making everyone isolate me. The more I suffered, the happier she became. One day, as I was walking and memorizing English vocabulary, the neighborhood troublemakers suddenly snatched the book from my hands. They laughed loudly as they threw my book on the ground, stomping the once snow-white pages black with their muddy footprints. Lisa, even your mom said you're too dumb to get into a vocational college. What's the point of studying? Stop pretending. Everyone in the neighborhood knows you're a slacker student. My mom always uses you as an example to lecture me. I'm so sick of hearing it. It drives me crazy. Lisa, aren't you always thinking about seducing men? Let me see. What color underwear are you wearing today? Teenage boys, with their sexuality already awakened, surrounded me in a circle. After exchanging lewd glances with each other, they were about to swarm forward all at once. But just as a hand was about to reach me, a sharp shout came from behind. What are you doing? I turned around and found my father standing behind me. He was holding a suitcase, his face unable to hide the exhaustion, but his eyes were deep and clear, burning with anger. For me, it felt like 2 lifetimes and a life-and-death separation since I last saw my dad. As I looked at him, I could only think that Dad had aged a lot, with many white hairs now at his temples that I hadn't noticed before. Lisa, don't be afraid, Dad is here. Dad's stern gaze fell on the group of boys. He threw his suitcase to the ground and strode toward me. It's really boring, what a letdown. The boys were a bit intimidated when they saw my dad, and they muttered a few words before jogging away. I couldn't hold back any longer, and tears poured out at that moment. I threw myself into my dad's arms, sobbing loudly. I didn't want my dad to worry about me. So when Dad asked what had just happened and how I'd been doing lately, I just pursed my lips and said, they were just joking with me, and I'm doing fine. Dad didn't say anything. He took out a very elegant pen from his bag, patted my head, and said, Lisa, this is a gift I bought for you while I was on a business trip. I knew Dad didn't earn much, and most of his salary was taken by Mom. He ate very frugally every day and only had a few pieces of clothing to wear all year round. But he could always, as if by magic, pull out gifts for me one by one from his bag. To my younger self, Dad was like Doraemon, capable of fulfilling all my wishes and dreams. With tears in my eyes, I took the pen and hugged Dad tightly. Dad, I was wrong. I shouldn't have scored so poorly. Please believe me. There's still a month until the class placement exam. This time, I will definitely rank among the top in my grade. I'm not being arrogant. I know my own abilities well. If I perform normally, making it into the top 5 in the grade shouldn't be a problem. Dad patted my back with a smile. Good kid, I've always believed in you. An unpleasant sound shattered the harmony. Mom seemed to have been standing outside the door for a while, and her eyes looked very red. Oldly, you wouldn't even buy me a bag, but you didn't hesitate to buy her such a nice pen. Dad's face immediately darkened when he saw her, and he stood up to close the door. However, Mom pressed against the doorframe, stubbornly holding the door open to prevent it from closing. She questioned her father, her voice gradually trembling with tears. You came back without even telling me. I only found out when I heard the neighbors mention it while playing cards. What do you really mean by this? After all these years, are you still only doting on her? Do you really see her as your own daughter? Or is it because she looks like your first love from back in the day? Enough. Dad finally couldn't take it anymore and snapped angrily. Don't say such things in front of the child. After being scolded by Dad, Mom felt even more wronged. She looked at him, tears streaming uncontrollably from her eyes. Did I hit a nerve? Your heart is still filled with that dead person. Why are you so cruel to me? I at least gave you a child. Can't you just let go of those old, rotten matters? Can't you just live a proper life with me? And Dad just looked at her without any emotion, as if she were a stone. Later, Mom went crazy, hitting and punching Dad, and when I stepped in to break it up, she slapped me a few times. This time, Dad completely lost it, grabbed Mom by the arm, and dragged her into the study. For 3 whole hours, they argued, with Mom's voice particularly shrill, almost drowning out Dad's, but in the end, Dad said one sentence, and all the noise suddenly stopped. Through the window, I saw Mom take 2 steps back abruptly, her whole body beginning to tremble. Large, heavy tears fell onto her arms, and her eyes were frighteningly red. After a long moment, she pointed a trembling finger at Dad and asked, You, say that again. But Dad just stared at her coldly. I said, once Lisa turns 18 and gets into college, we'll get a divorce. After saying this, Dad came out of the room. He let out a sigh, and when he knocked on my door, his voice returned to its usual gentle tone. Lisa, Dad bought you a few sets of extracurricular study materials this time. Let's study together. I opened the door and happened to see Mom standing not far away with resentment in her eyes. She clenched her fists, turned around to grab a case of beer, and went inside, slamming the door shut with a loud bang. I ignored her and turned my attention to immersing myself in the ocean of knowledge. It was late at night. I went to get some water, and on my way back, I passed by my mom's room and happened to hear someone talking to her on the phone. Mom was clearly drunk and not in a good state of mind. She was lying on the bed with the phone on speaker. I was about to continue walking when, all of a sudden, I unexpectedly heard the voice that had haunted me through 2 lifetimes. Auntie, hello. I'm Lisa's good friend. My name is Sam. Whether in my past life or now, hearing his name always makes my entire body tremble uncontrollably. At this moment, a chill surged through my limbs, and I realized with terror, it turns out that at this time in my past life, Sam had already contacted my mother, even though I had rejected him many times and blocked all his contact methods. I never imagined he would be so audacious as to approach my mother directly. At the moment, he put on a polite expression and said, I'd like to see Lisa. Could you help me see her? Just go find her yourself. My mom said drunkenly. By the way, How did you get my number? Sam stammered and said vaguely, Lisa gave it to me before, we've always had a good relationship, but recently we had a little misunderstanding, and she got the wrong idea about me. Auntie, could you help me invite her to QS restaurant tomorrow evening? I'd like to treat her to a meal and make amends. Oh. And please don't mention that I'm the one inviting her. I had a bad feeling about this. QS restaurant, with a hotel right upstairs. What was Sam planning? My mom clearly caught on too. Even though she was drunk, she could still easily see through such little schemes. She let out a cold laugh. Making amends, is it? And I suppose you'll have to offer a toast too, you little brat. I've known this trick for years. Aren't you the one who wrote the love letter to Lisa? She suddenly sat up, widened her eyes, and screamed at the top of her lungs, don't think I don't know what you're scheming. No matter what, she's still my daughter. It's fine if I bully her, but who the hell are you? Get out of here. After saying that, she hung up the phone and collapsed heavily onto the bed. A long-lost warmth surged in my heart as I quietly slipped away. This was the first time since I was 3 years old that I witnessed my mother defending me. I thought it was a sign that she was changing for the better, but I was wrong. It was also on this night that my mother completely transformed into the person I feared. After sleeping for a while, my mother got up to use the bathroom. On her way, she passed by my room and, as if possessed, stopped in her tracks. The door was slightly ajar, and inside, under the desk lamp, my dad was wearing glasses and explaining a problem to me, his expression showing a rare kindness and gentleness. Such a scene of a loving father and a devoted daughter was truly heartwarming. I accidentally miscalculated a number, and my dad burst into laughter, clutching his stomach and gasping for breath as he said, Lisa, you really need to work on your math skills. At that moment, I happened to look up and met my mother's gaze. She slowly tilted her head, looking at me, her eyes gradually misting over. It's hard for me to describe what kind of look that was. Later, I found these words in my mother's diary from that night. Such a wonderful home, with only me as the extra one. Suddenly, I remembered that he and she were just like this back then, sitting by the study window, a perfect match, he with his talent, she with her beauty. She, who was always so cheerful, would constantly tease him, and he never grew tired of it, only dotingly ruffling her hair. He said he loved her innocence and purity. What if she became as tainted as I am? Would his heart then belong only to me? That very night, just before bed, my mother came to my room and said to me with a stiff smile, Lisa, I'd like to treat you to a meal on Friday evening, at QS restaurant. Come over after your evening self-study. Okay, don't tell your dad, you know I can't stand him. I quietly listened to her last word, feeling as if a flame that had just ignited in my heart was completely extinguished. Lisa, did you hear me? She asked again. Looking at my mother's twisted, hypocritical smile, I slowly nodded. The next day, during the break between classes, I was doing English reading when the class representative slammed the test paper onto my desk with clear annoyance. Her tone was neither light nor heavy. Yours, another 38 points, the lowest in the class. Oh, the classmates quickly crowded around to watch, especially the underachievers, who grabbed my paper and burst into laughter. Haha, 38. Even if I stepped on the answer sheet with my shoe, I wouldn't get that low, would I? The English teacher is going to be furious again. Congratulations, Lisa, for being the 9th teacher you've managed to infuriate this year. With you around, I never get scolded anymore. It's all thanks to you, Lisa. How on earth is your brain wired? You're so clever. I endured their sarcastic remarks, and in the end, I calmly said, this will be the last time I come in last place. Next exam, I won't be cushioning the bottom for any of you. But as soon as these words were spoken, the classroom erupted even more like a boiling pot. Everyone started saying things like, a toad lusting after a swan, daydreaming, or, she must have gone crazy from failing the exam. A voice suddenly said, Lisa, stop pretending to be the studious type. We've all been fooled by you for so long, thinking you were some kind of proper girl. Turns out you're with Sam, the last place student from class 3. Someone as ugly and pig-like as him, and you actually like him. You really are desperate. Someone immediately chimed in, but when you think about it, even though you two don't match in looks, your grades are equally terrible. It's true what they say, birds of a feather flock together. My eyes darkened. In my past life, Sam went around telling everyone I was his girlfriend, pestering me relentlessly, even stalking and following me. When I couldn't take it anymore and publicly lashed out at him, he spread rumors that I was cheating, had a messy private life, and was a slut. Later, after I died a tragic death, he shamelessly claimed to others that I had initiated a relationship with him and then blackmailed him for money, forcing him to take drastic measures. So, my first reaction at this moment was to deny it. Did Sam spread that rumor? He's been harassing me all along. I don't like him at all. However, everyone just exchanged glances and gave meaningful smiles. Just as they were about to speak again, the class monitor suddenly shouted and drove them away. You think it's okay to bully classmates like this? I'm punishing you with a month of cleaning duties. If anyone has a problem with it, meet me after school for a one-on-one. When they all dispersed in disappointment, the class monitor looked at me with a reluctant expression and said, Lisa, your mom went to the homeroom teacher's office this morning. All of this was said by your mom. I feel like your mom doesn't seem to like you very much. You'd better think of a way. It seems my mom really went to great lengths to orchestrate the public opinion, just so I could be, justifiably, tarnished on Friday night. But what she doesn't know is that 1,000 lies can never stand up to a single truth. The slander and defamation I've been carrying, it's time to wash it all away completely. I lifted my head and said to the class monitor, Monitor, can you do me a favor? Time flew by, and it was already Friday. With just a few minutes left before school ended, I received a WeChat message from my mom. Don't forget, we're not eating at home tonight. We're going to QS restaurant. Did you see it? Reply when you get this. I quickly packed my bag, took a photo for her, and said I'd be out of school soon. Mom replied instantly, Okay, I've already ordered the food, you can head over right away. I stared at the screen for a while. I don't know what I was expecting. After a long while, I sighed and stood up. By the time I arrived at QS Hotel, it was already 8 p.m. In this small city, there weren't many people on the streets at 8 p.m. I walked to the door of the reserved private room. It was pitch dark inside, and it seemed like no one was there. I called my mom and asked, Mom, I'm here, where are you? Her voice was a bit muffled. Mom's stomach isn't feeling well, so I went to the restroom. You go in first. But I knew that Sam was hiding inside, waiting for me. I said slowly, Okay, Mom, I'll wait for you. After hanging up the phone, I looked to the side. The class monitor was standing there with a few of his friends. I exchanged a glance with the class monitor. He nodded and was the first to push the door open and walk inside. His friends followed closely behind. Sure enough, a few seconds later, I heard Sam's voice from inside. Holy shit, who are you? The class monitor only replied with 4 words, I'm your father. The door was locked from the inside. An hour later, Sam's phone sent a WeChat message to his mom. It's ready, Auntie, you can bring everyone over now. The words, the other party is typing, repeatedly appeared in the chat box. Soon, his mom replied, on my way. I never expected that Mom would bring so many neighbors to watch. When I looked down from upstairs, I noticed many people were filming with their phones, clearly planning to post on TikTok. I pressed my ear against the door and listened, only to hear my mother wailing and lamenting from a distance, angrily scolding me. Oh, this unfilial daughter, no wonder she didn't come home at night. She was fooling around with her boyfriend. Lisa, you beast. How could you get involved with someone at such a young age? How am I supposed to go on living? I've taught you since childhood to understand propriety, righteousness, integrity, and shame, but how could you be so indiscreet? In the old society, someone like you would have been drowned in a pig cage. The rest of her words froze in my mother's mouth the moment the private room door swung open. Her eyes widened in horror as she discovered Sam lying in a corner, his face covered in blood. In the room, besides him, there was only me. I gave my mother a deep smile, then burst into tears and rushed out the door. Help, someone tried to rape me, but luckily I knocked him out. Call the police for me. The neighbors who had gathered to watch the commotion were stunned. My words carried too much information, and no one knew whether the person inside was dead or alive. Everyone gasped in shock. What the hell is going on here? Lisa's mom. Is this the boyfriend you said your daughter has? Seems not. Didn't Lisa say this is a rapist? And the moment my mom came to her senses, she rushed out to grab me, stopping me from calling the police. She knew perfectly well how damaging all my chat logs would be to her. If I call the police, she's finished. Lisa, no matter what happens, come home with me first. We can talk about it at home. Mom's face was A-Smith, her voice trembling as she forcibly tried to drag me away. But the class monitor and his friends stepped forward and stopped her. Auntie, Lisa just said someone attempted to rape her. As her mother, shouldn't your first priority be to call the police and take her to the hospital for an examination? As soon as these words were spoken, the neighbors also realized something was wrong. Some began to murmur quietly, yeah, Even if you usually dislike your daughter, you shouldn't act like this. You kept insisting she was sleeping with someone and called us all here to catch her in the act, so how did it end up like this?" And my mother forced a calm expression, smiling weakly as she said, "Is there any need to call the police? Even if this boy wanted to assault Lisa, he's already been beaten like this, the price he's paid is enough." Her hand gripped my arm like a wrench, still trying to drag me out without any explanation. "Come on, let's go home with Mom, I'll take care of any injuries. There's no need to go to the hospital and make a scene." She stared at me intently, her eyes full of threat. As if afraid I would utter a single word. In her mind, ever since we were young, I had always been completely under her control. Whenever she made that expression, every time she glared at me, I would get nervous and surrender immediately. But this time, I just pried her fingers open one by one with force. The class monitor and the others quickly stepped forward and dragged my mom aside, facing her pained gaze. I raised Sam's phone high, displaying a call recording on the screen. "Dear neighbors. It pains me to explain what happened tonight. Recently, my mom has been telling everyone that I'm in a relationship with this Sam, but that's not true. In reality, he has been harassing me, and I have previous chat records as evidence. The reason my mom has been doing this is because she has already." My mom suddenly let out a sharp scream. "Lisa, if you dare say it, I'll tear your mouth apart." I let out a laugh, then suddenly raised my voice sharply. Because tonight's incident was arranged by her and Sam together, I tapped my phone screen, and the recording began to play. "Hey, Sam, I promised to help you get Lisa to go to QS Hotel on Friday. I know what you want to do to her, and I'll make it happen as you wish." It was my mom's voice, then a man's voice laughed. "Huh, Auntie. We're good friends, what could I possibly do to her?" "Stop pretending, don't you just want to sleep with her? Go ahead and sleep with her then, she's a slut anyway, do whatever you want. My only condition is don't get her killed, or I won't be able to explain it to her dad." Auntie, you sound just like Lisa's stepmother." "Alright, it's a deal, but just so you know, I've recorded our conversation today. If you go back on your word, I won't hesitate to release it." My mother trembled as she listened, staring at me with a look of sheer terror, as if I were some kind of monster, unable to utter a single word. The neighbors listened in utter shock. One of the older women was the first to shout, Lisa's mother, "Are you some kind of beast? Who in their right mind would deliberately let their own daughter be violated like that?" Another woman spat fiercely right into my mother's face. "Pa, I think you're the real bitch, all these years. You've been going around saying Lisa is no good, making people think the two of you have some feud, but I see this kid is just fine." "Exactly, living in the same neighborhood as you is just bad luck. A wicked person like you deserves to die. You ought to be locked up." Everyone was filled with righteous anger. Some couldn't hold back and rushed forward, grappling with my mother, while others picked up Sam, who was lying on the ground, as if he were a chick, and punched him a few times to vent their fury. In the end, I chose not to call the police. If this matter were truly investigated, the class monitor and the others would also be tried for mob assault. If it weren't for them, Sam would probably have been let off with just a warning from the police and would have continued to harass me. Coincidentally, Sam's father offered me $200,000 to settle the matter privately to prevent the school from expelling him, and I gladly agreed. After my father learned about this from the neighbors, he immediately divorced my mother. Mom knelt down and begged him at the time, but Dad just said in a low voice, "I'm only letting you off without sending you to prison for Lisa's sake. Don't push your luck." Mom finally agreed, sobbing until she was convulsing. The house was originally bought by Grandpa for Dad, so naturally, Mom had to move out after the divorce. She only took a few pieces of clothing when she left, still unwilling to give up, turning back every few steps in the hope that her father would stop her. Then, the only response she received was the bang of the door closing. The video from that night was sent to the class group by the class monitor, completely clearing my name of the slander I had endured during this time. Many people apologized to me out of guilt, saying they never imagined I was in such a pitiful state, and Mom never appeared in my life again. Dad and I finally enjoyed a period of peace. During this time, Dad no longer worked himself to the bone. He came home every noon and evening to have meals with me. Sometimes he cooked, sometimes I did, and occasionally we'd go out together for hot pot or barbecue. The waiters all said my dad was handsome, that even now he could easily outshine the young idols in the entertainment industry. Some people even marveled, could that aura belong to some celebrity? Every time I hear such comments, I feel incredibly proud. My dad was quite the heartthrob back in his youth. Every evening, My dad would come to pick me up after night study sessions. He rode his bicycle, and I sat on the back seat, always munching on the extra snacks he bought for me. As we made our way home, watching the lights of countless households, I felt like the happiest person in the world. After returning home, my father organized his work for the day while I studied at my desk. Whenever I encountered a problem I didn't understand, I would ask him, and he always had the answer. In the next small test, I left the entire class in awe. I scored first in the class and second in the grade. At that time, I was agonizing over why I had missed being first in the grade by just 1 point, while a crowd of classmates surrounded me, staring at my test paper in shock. Many of my subject teachers came to the classroom with looks of utter astonishment to call for me. Some people suspected that I had cheated, but the classroom surveillance video clearly showed that I never once lifted my head during the entire exam. The English teacher said with great excitement, the vocabulary on the test was beyond the scope of our textbooks. Even if someone cheated, it would be impossible to get a perfect score like Lisa did. This time, everyone was left speechless. I overheard some classmates whispering in an adorable way, "Is Lisa possessed by the god of learning? I should go pay my respects to her before exams from now on, maybe then I'll actually pass." A classmate immediately disagreed. "No, I went to middle school with Lisa, back in 7th grade, she ranked first in the entire city, aced exams like it was nothing. Honestly, I think she's been deliberately underperforming to hide her true abilities." Everyone sighed in unison. The academic prodigy aced exams effortlessly, while they had to struggle just to scrape by with a passing grade. After school, I deliberately pouted and said to my dad, "Sigh, I'm sorry, Dad, I didn't do well on the test again this time." Dad laughed when he heard this, patted my head, and said, "It's okay, Lisa has improved a lot, your homework is always done well. This time, I'll go back and help you review the mistakes. We'll definitely make progress next time, don't be discouraged. Come on, Dad will take you out for a big meal to boost our morale." But the next second, I swished out my report card in front of him and said in a dramatic tone, "I didn't do well on the exam, just barely, 2nd place in the grade." Dad's eyes widened. He kept nodding as he looked at my report card, tears gradually welling up in his eyes. "Today is a double blessing. My boss also promoted me, and from now on, my salary will be double what it used to be. Come on, let's take my daughter shopping. Whatever you want to buy, Dad will get it for you. Long live Dad." I jumped onto the bicycle with immense joy. I truly wished this moment could last a little longer, just a little longer. That evening, after finishing my homework, I had nothing to do. Since Dad hadn't returned home yet, I decided to tidy up the house. Under the bed in my mother's room, I found a thick diary. I've seen my mom use this diary before. It's hers. The cover has already yellowed, clearly aged, with a line of faded writing on it. April 24, 1998. Mary. Mary is my mom's name. It had been so long since anyone called her by her name that I had almost forgotten it. I knew it was wrong to go through someone else's things without permission, but my hand moved on its own, resting on it, as if guided by some unseen force. My heart inexplicably began to race. Finally, I took a deep breath and turned the page. That night, I almost had to force myself to endure the suffocating feeling as I read through this diary. My heart felt as if it were being squeezed by a giant hand, the pain intense and overwhelming. After finishing, I staggered to my feet and fled in a panic. A month passed in the blink of an eye. There are only a few days left until the placement exam, and during breakfast, I unexpectedly received a text message from my mom. After not contacting me for so long, the first thing she does is order me around. She gave me an ultimatum: I must come in last place in this placement exam, or she will never acknowledge me as her daughter again. I really laughed. When is this? And she still thinks I see her as my mother, coming in last place and then being in the same class as Sam. Continuing my endless nightmare, I immediately blocked this number. Suddenly, I felt something wasn't right. "Dad, what day is it today?" "June 3rd. Why?" I lowered my head and took a sip of soup. "Nothing, just asking." For the next 3 days, Mom bombarded me with calls from various phone numbers, even threatening to kill me. There's only 1 day left until the placement exam, and she suddenly sent a message saying, "I had a very strange dream, and in it, you really died." This time, I didn't block her. Mom sent another message saying, "I'm a little scared, let me see you." "Okay, daughter." I replied with a single word, "Okay." It was June 7th, and the weather forecast said it would rain. Outside the window, it was gloomy, as if it might start raining at any moment. My dad handed me an umbrella before rushing off to work. and I walked to school as usual. To get there faster, I deliberately took a shortcut. In a shabby alley, I saw someone who looked just like my mother. After following her for a while, I realized it wasn't her. This woman was clearly younger, and her dress was more trendy. Just as I was about to turn back, suddenly, from inside a deserted carport, my mother's voice rang out, "Lisa. Mom is here, come quickly and take shelter from the rain." I lifted my umbrella and saw her through the heavy curtain of rain. She looked like an incredibly kind mother, smiling and waving at me. "Come quickly, Lisa, don't get soaked, look at you, you've lost weight." She stood at the entrance of the bike shed, calling out to me with a voice as eager and gentle as a mother calling her child home. This, in the past, would only appear in my dreams. "Okay, Mom," I looked at her and smiled. Walking toward her step by step, I walked faster and faster, my footsteps growing louder, but just as I was about to enter the shed, I suddenly pushed Mom hard and quickly dodged to the side. I admit there was an element of gambling in my actions, but to my despair, I found that my gamble had paid off. A liquid with a strong, pungent odor rushed toward my face, and I quickly turned and ran for my life. Behind me, my mother's heart-wrenching screams echoed. When I finally ran to the end of the alley, I turned back and saw Sam staring at her helplessly, holding a glass bottle in his hand. The liquid inside flowed onto the cement ground, quickly making a gurgling sound. My mother was screaming and rolling on the ground uncontrollably. She was covered in blood, and her clothes seemed to have melted. In my previous life, on June 7th of the following year, a rainy day, I died. That day, as I was walking toward a bike shed, a burning liquid was suddenly splashed at me from the side. I collapsed on the spot, and the sensation of being engulfed in flames made me wish I were dead. "Thank you for bearing all of this for me," I said it with a smile, but tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. I turned around and quickly disappeared into the alley. Sam was arrested by the police for intentional homicide. When I heard the news, I was sitting on the hospital bed, watching my mother who was on the verge of death. The doctor said it would likely be within this week. Looking at her face, horrifically disfigured by sulfuric acid, I felt not the slightest bit of fear. I never thought we would meet again in this way. I spoke with a smile. Even though Mom could no longer speak, she still stared at me intently, as if she wanted to tear me apart. "You once said you had a dream where I died. Let me tell you something that will make you very happy. That dream was real. In our previous life, the one who died from having acid thrown on them that day was indeed me. But the reason I took that small path that day was because I saw a woman whose figure looked just like you. She was wearing a very beautiful dress, and I thought I'd buy one for you too." I said softly. "You know, there are only 2 days left until your birthday. I remember, you don't know, I really loved you once." I slowly lowered my eyes. "Even now, I still haven't thought about putting her to death. Actually, I wanted to die with you that day, because we were the ones who destroyed Dad. But then I regretted it. I won't die, I'll stay to atone for my sins." Facing her astonished gaze, I took her diary out of my backpack. 17 years ago, she had personally recorded the evil deeds she committed. I turned the pages to a certain entry. "The fact that my father's fiancée committed suicide on the day I was born was no coincidence. Your diary told me that she was a bright and resilient person, even after developing depression. She continued to fight her illness abroad and never gave up on my father. Unfortunately, someone maliciously sent her the video from that drunken night with my father, taunting her, cursing her, and even forging messages from my father to make her believe she had been completely abandoned, driving her to utter despair. That person pushed her to suicide." Finally, I broke down in tears, screaming at her hoarsely. "So, her death can actually be considered a murder, can't it?" Mother let out heavy, labored breaths from her throat, her breathing growing increasingly strained as red veins crept across her eyeballs. Watching her struggle to lift her hand, powerless to do so, I suddenly grew calm. I closed the diary and placed it in my backpack. "Don't worry, this will remain a secret forever. After all, I don't want to see my father suffer after learning the truth, regretting all these years he spent living with a vicious woman like you." I stood up and drew the curtains, letting the overwhelming sunlight pour in and fall upon my mother's face on the hospital bed. She couldn't help but squint, tears streaming down her face. "You don't have long to live. For the remaining days, I'll make sure someone takes good care of you. Oh, by the way, Dad and I have erected a new tombstone for that woman. It's engraved with," I softly uttered 2 words, "my beloved wife." The results of the placement exam were out, and I had secured the top spot in the grade with an absolute advantage. The homeroom teacher was ecstatic. exclaiming that I was the most outstanding student she had ever taught in all her years. My classmates were also proud of me, boasting everywhere that even our ordinary class had produced the top student in the grade. Teachers from every subject printed out my exam papers and distributed them to the entire grade for collective study. This even caught the attention of the principal. As the newly emerged top student, I was highly regarded by him. He placed me in the accelerated class and instructed all subject teachers to focus on nurturing me, insisting that I must get into Tsinghua or Peking University. He even paid out of his own pocket to buy thick stacks of practice exercises, new backpacks, and new stationery for me and the other top 10 students in the grade, encouraging us to keep working hard over the summer break. On the day I returned home for the holiday, I didn't see my dad at home. I thought for a moment and went to Aunt Bella's grave. It was a cenotaph that my father had erected for her. Sure enough, Dad was sitting in front of her tombstone, caressing the stone as if it were his real lover. He didn't say a word, but his eyes were red. I know, all of this was wrong from the start. It was my mother and I who wronged my father. My father's life should have been filled with happiness. I walked over and placed a bouquet of flowers in front of Aunt Bella's tombstone. In the center of the stone was a photo of Aunt Bella. I had seen it long ago. It didn't resemble me very much. I actually take after my father more, while Aunt Bella shares a resemblance with him, like many couples do. But even so, after an uncle made a joking remark that year, my mother's temperament changed drastically, to the point where she could even harm her own daughter. Looking back now, I suppose it was more because of her own guilt and lack of self-confidence. This happiness, after all, was something she had stolen. How can one enjoy stolen things with a clear conscience? I only hope that in that parallel world, Dad and Aunt Bella can be together as they wish, with no one else between them. Extra story, Mary's diary. Another day of being bullied and teased. Is it my fault for being ugly? My mom always says I'm ugly and favors boys over girls. Clearly, my brother is just as ugly as I am, but she always praises him for being good-looking. Even when it's clearly my brother who did something wrong, she blames it all on me, saying I didn't take good care of him. When I talked back, she even hit me, and my palms are still burning with pain. This kind of mother really disgusts me. When I have children in the future, I will never be like this. Today is my first day of middle school. It feels good, even though I can't understand anything in class and the textbooks are like a blur to me. I'm in a great mood, because during the exercise session, I met a boy. We exchanged a few glances across the crowd, and my heart was racing. He is so handsome. I really want to marry him. I don't want to live anymore. That guy has a girlfriend. That girl is also very beautiful and has excellent grades. It is said that she is the campus belle, and many boys write her love letters and bring her breakfast. They even said I'm like a toad lusting after a swan's flesh, daring to compare myself to their goddess, and that if I don't have a mirror, I should at least have urine to look at. Bullshit. Isn't she disgusting? This kind of person flirts around everywhere. Isn't she just a slut? Why hasn't any boy ever given me a love letter? I go to school and come home quietly every day. It's true that the more shameless someone is, the more people like them. Even the girls praise her for being nice. Can no one see her true nature? I really can't stand it. They go to and from school together every day, and even study and run together. It should be me by his side. Graduation is approaching, and I'm so reluctant to leave. He rejected me again and told me to have some self-respect. Am I really someone without self-respect? I just like him too much. Today is especially painful because I heard he's getting engaged to his girlfriend. I can't accept this reality. I want to kill myself. No, I want to take him with me to death. It's the first time I've done something like this. I was overjoyed, yet felt a tinge of loss. Never mind, he's mine now anyway. What's wrong with this woman? She's already abroad and still won't give up, still trying to contact him. Luckily, I saw the message on his phone first. This time, I have to teach her a lesson and make her give up for good. His phone is with me. I can send whatever I want, however I want. This bitch better drop dead right now. Lately, I've been having the same nightmare over and over. In the dream, it feels like I'm engulfed in a huge fire, my body burning with pain, my bones, my flesh. It's as if they've all melted away. I was screaming in pain, but all around me were only the fading footsteps moving away from me. Later, my throat was burned too, and I couldn't make a single sound. I also dreamed that later, as I lay in the hospital bed, a girl said something to me that made me mentally collapse. I don't remember exactly what she said, but this little girl, for some reason, looks just like that bitch. Oh no, could it be that bitch coming back to get her revenge on me? I absolutely won't give her that chance. If I ever run into this little girl in real life, I won't hesitate to kill her. This dream was too real, it scared me to death. My daughter is so adorable, but why do I feel like she looks more and more familiar? After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My roommate enjoys spreading rumors and making false accusations. She used my ID to check into a hotel for an abortion, but secretly told my mother that I had slept with a random man and gotten an abortion. My mother rushed to the classroom and slapped me in front of everyone. She secretly used other roommates' cosmetics and shampoo, but falsely accused me of using them, advising others not to make a big deal out of it. As a result, everyone isolated me and subtly bullied me. She spread rumors that the class beauty was having an affair with a school administrator, subtly implying that I was the one spreading the gossip. In a fit of anger, the class beauty pushed me down the stairs. After I died, my mother was so filled with regret that she jumped off a building and followed me, but my roommate used my story to become an internet celebrity, making a fortune from live streaming sales. All our classmates fawned over her, the school even invited her back to give a speech. She became an overnight sensation, while I became her cautionary tale. When I opened my eyes again, my roommate was asking to borrow my ID card once more. "Sarah, can I borrow your campus card?" My roommate Rose walked over and said to me with a beaming smile. I had just woken up from a dream and was still a bit dazed. Scenes from the dream flashed through my mind. Details of how Rose had persecuted me in my past life surfaced in my memory. I opened my eyes wide, almost unable to breathe. At the beginning of our freshman year, my roommate Rose had been extremely warm and enthusiastic toward me. Every day, she would help me fetch hot water and bring me breakfast, publicly declaring how much she liked me and wanting to be best friends with me. I wasn't quite comfortable with it, but thinking about building good relationships with my classmates, I didn't refuse. Gradually, everyone thought we were so close that we could share the same pair of pants. I didn't guard myself either, thinking she was enthusiastic, cheerful, and generous, but no one knew that she would gossip about others behind their backs. Wendy from our class said your clothes were ugly last time, but I think you look really good in them. Sarah, you absolutely can't let Wendy know I told you this. It's because we're close that I'm sharing this with you. Just keep your distance from Wendy in your mind, that's all. Hey, Sarah, Eric from our class has been calling you a sly fox behind your back. Just because your chest is too big. I was so angry I argued with him. Just pretend you don't know about this. Someone like him isn't worth getting upset over. You know what, Sarah, Tina said your grades must be copied. I immediately confronted her. I believe you would never cheat, but Sarah, you shouldn't go confront her about it. Tina can be extreme. What if she pulls a knife? Thanks to Rose's shady tactics, I've developed a very poor impression of many people around me. But without real evidence, I still maintained a superficial harmony with everyone, until later, Rose borrowed my ID card to check into a hotel for an abortion, then turned around and told my mom that I was the one who had gotten pregnant from fooling around with some random man. My mom rushed into the classroom and slapped me in front of everyone. Afterward, Rose knelt down in the dormitory to apologize, begging for my forgiveness, saying she was just too scared. But not long after, she secretly used other roommates' belongings, quietly spread rumors, framed, and pinned the blame on me. Everyone hates me, they isolated me, bullied me, and because of the bad things Rose had said before, I developed stereotypes about many people, which only deepened the misunderstandings. Rose then spread rumors that the class beauty was having an affair with a school administrator, and hinted that the gossip had come from me. In a fit of rage, the class beauty pushed me down the stairs. I died. And my mother, overwhelmed with regret, jumped from a building soon after. Meanwhile, Rose became famous. She became an internet celebrity because of this incident, made a fortune through live streaming sales, and her classmates were all eager to curry favor with her. The school invited her back to give a speech, but no one expected that I had been reborn. In my previous life, Rose also took advantage of my drowsy state, using the excuse of needing a campus card, to sneak my ID out of my bag. I snapped awake immediately, suppressing the urge to kill as I looked at Rose's hand. Hey, did you grab the wrong thing? That's not my student ID, it's my ID card. Rose froze for a moment, then smiled and grabbed my hand, pleading coquettishly, Sarah, I just want to use your ID card for a bit. Okay, we're so close. You wouldn't say no, would you? Without hesitation, I replied, of course I'd say no. An ID card is such an important document, how could I just let anyone use it? Besides, what do you need it for? Rose's eyes flickered. Oh, It's just for a small matter, nothing major. If you don't want to lend it to me, forget it. Are you going to eat? Let's go together. I didn't look at her and went to pack my things. I'll eat later. Rose lingered, and I knew she hadn't given up. She still wanted to use my ID card, but there was absolutely no way I would let her use it, so I brought my ID card with me. And while Rose was in the bathroom, I also hid an old phone with the video recording function turned on the desk. After that, Rose and I went to the cafeteria together. Sure enough, halfway through the meal, she said she needed to go back to the dorm to get something and hurried off. I immediately went to wait at the bottom of the dormitory building, and before long, I saw her sneaking away with a bag in her hand. I quickly followed after her. Rose went to a very remote hotel entrance, got out of the car, and went inside arm in arm with a man. I was startled when I saw the bald man. Wasn't that Bob, the school leader whom Rose had slandered in her previous life for hooking up with the class beauty and making her a mistress? I immediately decided to capture the video of the two of them walking arm in arm into the hotel, and then returned to school. As soon as I entered the door, a basin of water poured down from above, drenching my head. I couldn't help but let out a cry of pain. Completely soaked from head to toe, fury made me tremble uncontrollably. I couldn't hold back and roared at the other two roommates in the dorm, Linda and Ella. Who did this? The same thing happened in my previous life. Because of Rose's instigation, people would often play pranks on me, putting water on the door to wet my clothes, locking the restroom door from the outside, or deliberately knocking the books off my desk onto the floor. Linda and Ella completely ignored my questioning. The two of them continued to talk and laugh, making sarcastic remarks. Some people really deserve it. That's what happens when you have no shame. Alright, Linda, don't bother with trash. By the way, where's Rose? Let's go have hot pot together. The two of them linked arms and were about to walk out. I grabbed Linda, who was also Rose's top lackey, and asked through gritted teeth, "Was it you who let the water out?" Linda sneered. "So what if it was? Haven't you done plenty of things yourself? Wasn't it you who ruined my shoes? Wasn't it you who spilled water on my notebook? Wasn't it you who told the teacher I was late?" I immediately retorted, "No, I didn't do any of that. Did Rose tell you? But I haven't done any of those things. You can check." Linda impatiently shook off my hand. "Stop bringing up Rose. We all know what kind of person Rose is. She's the only one who's naive and kind enough to pay attention to you, Sarah Smith. Stop making up lies. No one believes you." Knowing that Rose's impression in their minds was deeply ingrained, I realized that no amount of explanation would be useful, so I gave up trying to explain, but I absolutely couldn't let someone splashing a basin of water on me go unaddressed. I raised my hand and slapped Linda across the face. "You can be foolish if you want, but I won't tolerate you blindly believing rumors and slandering me along with them." Linda was immediately ready to fight back after being hit, shouting, "Sarah Smith, you really are this cheap. How dare you hit me?" I grabbed her arm. "You want to hit me too? Do you dare? Should we call the police right now? Let's see who put this basin of water here. And while we're at it, let's check whether those things you've been saying about me are true or not." If things really escalated, it wouldn't be good for Linda either. Ella tried to mediate from the side, and eventually, the two left reluctantly. Though they certainly cursed me in their hearts, I didn't bother with them anymore. Instead, I took out my old phone and started checking the recordings. It didn't matter if Linda and Ella chose to believe Rose. When all the evidence was laid out before them, the facts would speak for themselves. Sure enough, I saw footage on my phone of Rose rummaging through my desk, unable to find my ID card. She quietly took Linda's instead. Rose had really thought this through. Both Linda and I grew up in single-parent households with our mothers. If a single mother found out her daughter was hooking up with men, booking hotel rooms, and having abortions, she would absolutely explode with anger. But this time, it's uncertain whose mother will be the one to explode. When Rose came back that evening, she acted as affectionate and chatty with me as usual, and I played along. Linda and Ella look at me as if I were their enemy, always speaking with innuendos, so I join in and curse along. Linda deliberately glanced at me. "Why hasn't that bitch who stole the shampoo died yet?" Ella quickly added, "That bastard who stole my snacks will get into a car accident tomorrow." I quickly chimed in, "Exactly, the person who stole your shampoo must be a despicable wretch. Such a person deserves a miserable death and to burn in the deepest pits of hell. And the one who stole your snacks won't just get into a car accident tomorrow, they'll also get a terminal illness and be struck by lightning." Linda and Ella didn't expect me to join in the cursing, and with such venomous words at that, they fell silent for a moment. Instead, It was Rose who spoke up from her bed, her tone complex. "How about we turn off the lights, we have an 8 a.m. class tomorrow." I chuckled inwardly, thinking that those with a guilty conscience really can't stand being tested, but on the surface, I still had to play along with her. It wasn't until half a month later that Rose asked to borrow my ID card again, and I still refused. She was a bit unhappy and even questioned me. "Sarah, aren't we good friends? I just want to borrow your ID card for a bit, I'm not going to do anything with it." "Why are you so stingy?" I pretended to be casual and said with a laugh, "Oh, I need to use it myself, maybe you should ask someone else." Rose had no choice but to give up. I quietly started recording with my phone and, sure enough, caught her secretly rummaging through my desk again. When she couldn't find my ID card, she went to search Linda's. Right after, I followed her again and saw her enter the hospital, register at the gynecology department, and soon after, go into the abortion room. An hour later, she came out looking deathly pale. I recorded everything on video. Then, I called my mom ahead of time to explain that someone was keeping an eye on me, but I absolutely hadn't done anything I shouldn't have, and asked her not to worry. I also called Linda's mother and truthfully told her that someone was bullying Linda and might likely frame her. I asked her to stay calm and not to believe others easily. Single mothers raise their children relying solely on love. Both my mom and Linda's mother believed what I said. Sure enough, within a few days, Linda's mother received a text message from Rose. Inside, there was evidence of a hotel room booked under Linda's name and proof of an abortion. The other party even advised her to quickly educate her daughter at school, otherwise this daughter would be ruined. If I hadn't given her a heads up in advance, Linda's mother would have definitely gone crazy. But now, Linda's mother calmly took her phone and went to report it to the police. While we were in the middle of class, she arrived with the police. Linda's ID was stolen, and someone used her name to book a hotel room, have an abortion, and even sent text messages to her mother to frame and slander her. Linda was completely kept in the dark about these matters. Rose immediately stood up, pulled Linda's mother aside, and whispered, "Auntie, I know who did this. There's a girl named Sarah Smith in our dorm. She's also from a single-parent family and is quite pitiful. She's never gotten along with Linda. Often disturbs our rest, doesn't do her share of cleaning, and takes advantage of us. This time, Sarah Smith stole Linda's ID to check into a hotel for an abortion. This kind of thing could ruin her reputation. She's very extreme and might even consider suicide. I beg you not to hold it against her. I'll persuade her to apologize to Linda. If I hadn't prepared in advance, this fire would likely have ended up burning me, but this time." Linda's mother raised her hand and slapped Rose right across the face. "You're young, but full of schemes. Who are you to act all righteous here? The police will figure out who did it. If your mouth is so idle, go lick a manure pit instead of yapping here." Before Rose could react, someone kicked her hard in the backside. My mom appeared from behind her. "What nonsense are you spouting? What did you just say about Sarah Smith? Disturbing her roommate's rest, being unhygienic, taking advantage." "Come on, I'm standing right here today. Tell me in detail, how exactly did my daughter offend you?" Seeing my mother suddenly appear, my eyes instantly welled up with tears. Back when my father cheated during her pregnancy, my mother resolutely divorced him. All these years, she has always taught me to value my integrity and self-respect, emphasizing that learning the skills to stand on my own feet is far more important than getting involved with unworthy men. She raised me well. My grades were always at the top. I acted with honesty and integrity, and I worked diligently and conscientiously. That's why, in my past life, my mother was so devastated when she saw the hotel check-in records and abortion papers with my name on them. She couldn't bear to see her daughter go astray, and even less could she tolerate others bullying her daughter. Rose was beaten until tears instantly streamed down her face. And it was only when the police stepped in to stop it that it ended. All the classmates in the classroom felt incredibly sorry for Rose, as she usually got along well with everyone. Everyone gathered around and asked with concern, "Rose, what on earth happened?" Even Linda trusted her, giving me a hostile look before comforting her softly. "Rose, speak calmly, don't cry, we've got your back." How can they hit someone for no reason and still act like they're in the right? It was Linda's mother who, exasperated, grabbed her arm and said, "Linda, you're so foolish. How can you not be worried when your ID card was stolen? Officer, please help us investigate who exactly misused my daughter's ID. I want to see this person behind bars." My mother also spoke up loudly. "Isn't it easy to check now? Whoever stole the ID card must have left fingerprints on it, right?" The police officer nodded. "That's correct. Fingerprints on the ID card can be identified. No sooner had the words been spoken than Rose fell to her knees, weeping. I took it, but I didn't use it. That day I lost my ID card, and in a moment of desperation, I had to borrow Linda's. As for who actually used it, I can't say. Even if you beat me to death, I won't tell. This concerns my best friend's reputation and the rest of her life. No matter how much you all wrong me or what you think of me, I must take the blame for her in this matter. In an instant, everyone's eyes turned to me, the one who was usually closest to Rose. Rose didn't say it outright, but with her head stubbornly raised as she held back tears, her tall image of taking the blame for her good friend's secret abortion was instantly established. The classmates in the class looked at me with hateful eyes while comforting Rose. Rose, is it worth it for that kind of hypocritical idiot? Rose, stop crying, tell us that slut's name. Why should you take the blame for her? Someone like that should be expelled. If she wants to sell herself, she should do it outside. What's she doing being a whore at school? Even Linda stood firmly by Rose without hesitation. Rose, it's just an ID being used for a moment. I don't care, don't cry. You did nothing wrong, you're just too kind. We all know who that person is, and who hasn't seen how despicable she is. She's like a rat scurrying across the street that everyone wants to beat. Such scum will eventually meet their end. A group of people were all secretly cursing me. They called me hypocritical, disgusting, promiscuous, and malicious, while Rose was gentle, kind, a little fairy, magnanimous and noble. But they didn't name names, and if I were to speak up in defense, they could easily slap me with the label of being guilty by association. Rose, with tears in her eyes, was still trying to stop everyone. All right, everyone, stop talking. Rose, am open and honest. I've always been sincere with my friends. As long as my conscience is clear, that's all that matters. Linda's mother was utterly shocked and quickly pulled her aside. Are you out of your mind? She stole your ID to book a hotel room, and you're comforting her. My mom also muttered under her breath, Sarah, these people are all acting so strange. What's going on? Are they bullying you? I'll go deal with them. That sentence completely set off Linda. She stormed right up to me and said, Sarah Smith, besides taking advantage of someone as innocent as Rose, what else are you capable of? Have you no shame? You spread your legs for men, and you still have the nerve to deny it. How filthy and cheap can you be? Get on your knees and apologize to Rose right now, otherwise, I'll make you regret it. I let out a cold laugh and no longer held back. I slapped Linda hard across the face. Bang, with a cold expression, I snapped back. What exactly did I take advantage of her for? Your words are so foul. Did you forget to wipe your mouth after using the toilet? Do you think I don't understand what you're implying? You just suspect that I was the one who used Linda's ID to book a hotel room for an abortion. Right, Rose, tell them, was it me? But Rose, with tears in her eyes, said painfully, Sarah, I beg you to stop talking. Let everyone just blame me, let them curse me. I'll bear it all. This only made everyone even angrier. Linda raised her voice. Sarah Smith, don't you know in your heart whether it was you or not? Rose is such a good person. She wouldn't lie. Furious, she jumped up and rushed at me to hit me. Her mother, torn between pity for her daughter being struck and frustration at her foolishness, felt both heartache and anger, and my mom stood fiercely in front of me, not letting anyone touch me. I was so angry I laughed. Fine, fine, let's check the surveillance footage. That will show who it was, right? The police are here anyway. If the person who used your ID isn't me, you better apologize to me right away, Linda retorted defiantly. Go ahead and check. If the person in the footage is you, you'd better kneel and apologize to me. If it's not you, I'll kneel and apologize to you. Just as she finished speaking, someone suddenly shouted, Hey, someone posted a video on Weibo. It's Rose coming out of the gynecology department. What's going on with her? What was she doing there? The abortion surgery room. Wow, the classroom instantly erupted into chaos. Everyone craned their necks to look over. Rose's face turned pale, and before anyone could say anything more, she fainted. The truth was instantly laid bare. It was Rose who had stolen Linda's ID card to get the abortion. Those who were close to Rose were also shocked, never expecting that Rose could be such a person. Linda's face flushed red as she glanced at me, hurriedly muttered an apology, and tried to leave. I grabbed her arm and said, Wasn't it supposed to be a kowtow apology? She gritted her teeth and reluctantly bowed to me, saying, I'm sorry. Okay, but Rose must have been wronged, that's right. Even though it had been proven that Rose was the one who stole the ID card and had the abortion, everyone still believed her and still looked at me through tinted glasses. This stemmed from the vicious image Rose had painstakingly established for me in front of them. To counterattack, I still needed the right opportunity. After Linda bowed, she tried to leave, but it wasn't that simple. I made a demand. Apologize to me in a WeChat post and write a clarifying apology letter on the school bulletin board, or else kowtow to me. She was furious, but everyone had heard what she said in front of so many people that day. Linda had no choice but to comply. This lifted my spirits quite a bit. Rose fainted, and when she woke up, she was on the verge of a complete breakdown. She quickly explained to everyone, I was forced into this. Betrayed by the friend I trusted the most. I didn't do this willingly. At that moment, many people started connecting it back to me, suspecting that I might have set Rose up. However, Rose's act of stealing an ID card to have an abortion was, after all, a scandal, and it still brought her a lot of distress. Even when walking on the street, people would point fingers at her. Even though Linda ultimately didn't pursue the matter, when no one was around, Rose knelt down before me. Sarah, we've always been so close, won't you help me? Just say that when we went out together. Someone took advantage of me, otherwise, I really can't go on living. I think about killing myself every day. Tears and snot streamed down her face. In my past life, I would have softened at such a sight, but this time I encouraged her. Rose, look at me. I've been isolated and bullied by so many people, and I still survived, didn't I? You can do it too, keep going. Rose's face turned deathly pale, as if she vaguely sensed that something wasn't quite right. I secretly placed a voice recorder in the dorm room. I could clearly hear Rose fabricating stories about me behind my back. She tearfully told her roommate, I was tricked by Sarah Smith into going out and getting drunk, and I accidentally ended up pregnant with a man's child, but I forgive her and won't hold her responsible. Even though she knew I had an abortion, she still forced me to fetch hot water for her, mop the floor, and take out the trash. But I suppose she didn't mean to do it on purpose. My roommates were seething with resentment. Behind my back, they cursed me to shreds and constantly set traps for me in secret. One moment there were nails in my shoes, the next there was wall plaster in my water cup, and if I wasn't careful, my books would get torn up, but I recorded all of it. Then, right in front of me, Rose cried and said, I was so scared at the time that in a panic, I used Linda's ID. I was assaulted and felt so broken I wanted to kill myself. Please don't hold it against me, okay? I don't want to lose you, my best friend. I smiled and asked her, Linda was so good to you, wasn't she your best friend? And what about Ella? She often helped you with your laundry. Rose linked her arm with mine, smiling intimately, and said, Linda is dirty and lazy, and Ella is plain and unattractive. How could I ever be best friends with them? You're the one who's my best friend. After saying that, she asked to copy my homework again. That's right, one of my values to Rose was that she could copy my homework. But the greatest value was that she could stand on the moral high ground and look at me with sympathetic eyes. Me, who was isolated by my classmates and manipulated by her schemes. Because of the abortion incident involving the stolen ID card, Rose became infamous throughout our entire school. Every time she went out, she had to face those gossipy stares. And she couldn't have been more miserable inside. At times like these, she would want to step on me again, just to get a sense of pleasure. Things have started mysteriously disappearing in the dorm again. Linda cursed angrily. Who used my face cream and lipstick again? Damn bastard. If I catch you, I'll beat you to death. Ella also vented on social media. Ugh, having a roommate with sticky fingers is so disgusting. My stockings were secretly worn and dirted again. Rose also expressed surprise in the class group chat. Things haven't been peaceful lately. My living expenses went missing too. Boo-hoo. I hope the thief shows some mercy. Since we all know each other, only my things weren't missing. Everyone looked at me with suspicious eyes. In my past life, those very eyes had nearly tormented me to death like boiling oil. Whenever classmates passed by me, they would always say in a voice just loud enough to hear, You thief. This time, I also acted panicked. Scared, wronged, and angry as I sought Rose's help. I didn't steal anything, so why does everyone suspect me? I also don't know why all the things were lost except mine. Rose looked at me with a smile. Sarah, the more you explain, the more others will suspect you. Linda and Ella are both incredibly stupid. Don't worry, I can probably guess who it is, and I will definitely help you find the truth. Just focus on your studies. In my previous life, I believed Rose's words in a state of panic. But just 2 days later, when I returned from the library, a group of people were waiting for me in the dormitory. There was Rose, as well as Linda and Ella from our dorm, along with people from the neighboring dorm. Everyone was looking at me with contempt, hatred, and disgust in their eyes. Rose started crying again and said anxiously, "Sarah, hurry and explain. They all say you're the one who stole everyone's things." "I believe you definitely didn't do it." Linda slammed my drawer open and said. "Didn't steal? Then what's hidden in here?" "My eyebrow pencil, Ella's coffee, and the gold bracelet from the student in the neighboring dorm. They're all in this drawer." Ella gritted his teeth and glared at me, as if unleashing all the pent-up anger he had been holding back. "You've always been annoying, and we've been tolerating you, but now you're stealing way too much. You steal everything. My shampoo and body wash have been running out so fast. It's because you've been secretly using them." Linda also shouted angrily, "Who told us we have a thief in our dorm? Is the counselor here today? We're going to settle this once and for all. We have to kick the thief out." Rose anxiously tried to explain on my behalf. "Sarah definitely didn't do it on purpose. Everyone, don't pressure her. There must be some misunderstanding." She turned her head, trying to see despair and fear on my face. Unfortunately, I remained completely calm, even when a group of people pointed at me and cursed. I didn't get angry until the counselor arrived. The counselor didn't have a good impression of me either, all thanks to Rose adding fuel to the fire in front of him. Everyone believed I was unhygienic, lazy, and wicked, and that I even liked stealing. The counselor glared at me with a stern face. "Sarah Smith, do you still want to study or not? If not, pack your things and get out. What have you been doing all day?" I calmly pulled out my old phone and the voice recorder. I started playing the recordings. First, there was the video of Rose secretly using Linda's lipstick while the dorm was empty, followed by footage of her slipping the lipstick into my clothes after using it. Then, there was her sneaking a drink of Ella's coffee, dipping her finger into Ella's honey and licking it, which made Ella so furious she started dry heaving on the spot, one after another. Videos showed Rose continuously placing other people's belongings into my cabinet, drawers, and under my blanket. She even muttered under her breath, "You fool, I'm helping you." "How could I possibly be helping you? You'll find out when everyone pins you down and beats you up." The dorm room fell into silence, and Rose screamed in terror as she lunged forward. "That video is fake." I grabbed her wrist with one hand and pressed the play button on the voice recorder with the other. "First, there's the recording of Rose badmouthing the counselor. Counselor, Sarah, have you heard? He got in through the back door. Look, he's already balding, and don't you think he's a bit pervy? He's definitely slept with female students at the school." After listening, the counselor's face turned pale with anger, and he cursed. "Rose, what kind of nonsense are you spewing? What are you talking behind my back?" Rose screamed frantically. "Sarah Smith, stop playing it. You secretly recorded audio and video. That's illegal. I'm going to sue you." I completely ignored her and continued playing. "Linda is such a selfish and stingy person, lazy and ugly too. She never does any dorm chores. I always do them for her. She even said behind your back that your eyes are ugly. I really can't stand her." "Ella, she broke your cup on purpose last time." "Sarah, don't believe her. Ella is utterly shameless, always dreaming about sleeping with men." Linda broke down, grabbing Rose with reddened eyes and demanding, "When have I ever been selfish and stingy? When did you ever do dorm chores for me? And when did I ever say Sarah Smith's eyes are ugly?" Ella couldn't take it anymore and slapped Rose across the face. "You're the shameless one. You're the one dreaming of sleeping with men. No, you actually did sleep with a man. And you even stole an ID card to get an abortion. And you saw with your own eyes that I accidentally knocked over that cup. Rose, you're truly despicable." The voice recorder also contained Rose's badmouthing of other people, while pretending to have good relationships with them. She was constantly badmouthing them to me. Similarly, she acted the same way in front of others, desperately badmouthing me and praising them, all to gain what seemed like solid friendships. Linda, with reddened eyes, broke down in tears, clutching Rose's hands tightly. "Tell me, just tell me, why would you do this? We trusted you so much, yet you were stirring up trouble behind our backs. When did I ever curse Sarah Smith like that? So she never said those things about me either. It was all your rumors and slander." A group of people were all questioning Rose. Once everyone confronted each other, they were shocked to discover that I had never spoken ill of them behind their backs, and yet, despite their negative feelings toward me, they had never actually witnessed me doing anything wrong or heard me say anything inappropriate. On the contrary, under Rose's instigation, they had bullied me many times. Even the chores in the dormitory were all done by us. The only person who never lifted a finger was Rose. She was the laziest, the meanest, the most selfish, and the most malicious of them all, the counselor was furious. It was the first time she had ever encountered a female college student with such deep scheming intentions. But Rose wasn't the least bit afraid. Instead, she lashed out, "You believed me just because I said it. It's not like your relationship was good to begin with. Besides, I only heard it from others. How was I supposed to know if it was true or not?" But with the video evidence, no matter how much she tried to deny it, it was useless. The counselor slammed the table and said, "Rose, you've slandered your classmates, maliciously spread rumors, and falsely accused Sarah Smith of theft. This is already against the law. For the sake of the school's reputation, we might not involve the police, but you will definitely face disciplinary action," Linda said furiously. "Counselor, we request that she be removed from the dorm. We absolutely cannot continue living with someone like her." That night, Rose was driven out of the dormitory and moved into a special dorm room. At the same time, she received a major demerit and a warning. One more offense would lead to immediate expulsion. The dormitory housed girls who didn't get along with their original roommates, making the atmosphere even more chaotic. Rose's petty tricks were no longer effective. Instead, she was bullied at every turn. From that day on, my relationship with the classmates around me improved a lot. The misunderstandings were cleared up, and we no longer viewed each other through tinted glasses. Still, I felt a bit uneasy inside, treating everyone politely but not warmly. The video of Linda and Ella messing with me was submitted to the school, and both of them received disciplinary records. They apologized to me with deep regret. "Sarah, we really didn't expect her to be that kind of person. What she said sounded so convincing, and we just thought, we're sorry, we misunderstood you, and we did a lot of bad things. We hope you can forgive us." I simply told them calmly, "I do not forgive. No one can travel back in time to erase the harm that was done to me, so I choose not to forgive. Victims and perpetrators can never be friends." However, it seems my classmates feel somewhat guilty, always trying to make it up to me and greeting me with excessive enthusiasm whenever they see me. Every time in the classroom, I'm surrounded by people. In contrast, Rose sits alone in the corner, watching me with gloomy eyes. After class, she even stopped me and questioned me. "Why did you record the video? Why did you record the audio? I treated you so well, considered you a friend, and yet you guarded against me like this, plotting against me. Sarah Smith, you're truly despicable. You've ruined me. Do you know that? You'll get your retribution." She no longer pretends to be innocent, and the malice in her eyes is often displayed to the fullest, as if she wants to devour me. I chuckled lightly. "Someone like you deserves to be ruined. Cockroaches belong in the gutter forever. No matter how well you hide, you'll always be disgusting in the end." With just one sentence, Rose's face flushed red with anger, and tears welled up in her eyes. But someone like her would never admit it was her own fault. Even if heaven and earth were at fault, she would never believe she had done anything wrong. Now that she sees me living freely and happily, she's definitely going to start making moves again. Sure enough, just like in my previous life, rumors about the class beauty Kathy and the homeroom teacher Bob began to spread. This time, everyone learned their lesson and didn't dare to believe it easily, but only our classmates remained cautious. Students from other classes were still very interested in such gossip and firmly believed it. Someone told me that a version of the story had already started circulating outside. Kathy went to a hotel with Bob. Sarah Smith saw it with her own eyes. As soon as Sarah Smith returned to school, she started talking about it. "Oh, that class beauty is really something," even flirting with the teacher. Kathy suffered greatly because of these rumors. The more she tried to explain, the less people believed her. She has a bad temper and is particularly fond of resorting to violence when impulsive. As the rumors grew increasingly heated, Kathy's handsome boyfriend from school also broke up with her. A blurry, explicit photo of her with Bob also began circulating online. This was the final blow that shattered her completely. In her previous life, after breaking up with her boyfriend, she made up her mind to find me and asked if I was the one spreading the rumors. After I denied it, in a fit of anger, she lost control and pushed me down the stairs. But in this life, I didn't wait for Kathy to come to me. I took the initiative to find her instead, and I sent her the video of Rose and Bob entering and leaving the hotel. I also told her about Rose's situation, reminding her that she could start by looking into Rose. Kathy was so angry that her teeth were chattering. She forwarded that video to 10 different group chats, then printed a stack of flyers and stormed off to confront Rose. Rose's previous claim that she was tricked by a friend and then raped was completely debunked. In the video, she was all smiles as she followed Bob to the hotel. How could that be considered forced? When I chased out to the cafeteria, I saw Kathy sitting on Rose, beating her up. You're the one who's cheap, sleeping with that scumbag Bob, and then you deliberately spread rumors to slander me, Rose, you bitch. I've already found out. The rumors started with you. Come on, everyone, look. These are all photos of Rose checking into hotels with men and getting abortions. This rotten person is completely corrupt herself, yet she tries to drag others down with her. You almost ruined my entire life. My boyfriend even dumped me because of this. You know, I'm going to beat you to death. Rose was beaten so badly that she didn't even get a chance to explain herself. A huge crowd had gathered, all watching the promotional flyers and videos, each one of them with eyes wide in shock. This Rose really knows how to make a scene. Coincidentally, the parents of Rose, whom I had quietly contacted, also arrived. I told them that Rose had been performing exceptionally well at school, and the school had invited them to secretly give her a surprise, as well as to present an award to them as parents. The couple arrived happily, and as soon as they entered the school, they witnessed a dramatic scene. On the flyer were images of Rose entering a hotel with a man, and her pale-faced exit from the abortion clinic. Each one pierced the eyes of Rose's mother. Kathy was exhausted from hitting her, and just as Rose stood up to run, her mother grabbed her by the hair and slapped her hard across the face several times. Slut, you're here to study. What are you actually doing? Shameless thing. I should have just let you get married instead of going to college. Her father didn't hold back either. The couple teamed up in a double assault, beating Rose until she knelt on the ground, bruised and swollen, completely broken and sobbing. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Woo-woo. Please stop hitting me. I'm begging you, stop. The incident was so severe that someone recorded it and posted it online. It sparked heated discussions among many netizens. In the end, the school issued disciplinary actions. Rose was expelled, and Kathy was also expelled for intentional assault, having caused Rose to suffer a minor concussion and weakened vision in his right eye. Director Bob was also dismissed by the school because of this incident. Rose's parents were busy at one moment demanding compensation from Bob, and at the next, busy suing Kathy. Unfortunately, Bob simply ignored them and publicly claimed that Rose was the one who seduced him. Kathy's family had no money to compensate, and in the end, Kathy ended up in prison. Rose herself was just relieved that she hadn't ended up in prison like Kathy. Although she was fired, she still had boundless hope, but only when she truly stepped into society did she realize that with her weak right eye vision and no college degree, every step was a struggle. Even bubble tea shops wouldn't hire her. In her anger, she blamed everything on me. On graduation day, I walked up to the podium wearing my academic gown, smiling as I prepared to deliver the speech on behalf of the graduates. Rose, who had long been expelled, suddenly appeared, with a knife in hand and a ferocious expression. She charged at me, shouting, "Sarah Smith, go to hell, you ruined my life, go to hell, go to hell." Fortunately, because the podium I stood on was high enough, she was subdued by security before she could reach me. Rose, her eyes red with rage, struggled as she was pinned to the ground and taken away, and I, maintaining the most proper and elegant posture, continued with my graduation speech. Dear classmates, hold a humble heart as you venture onto the long road ahead. May you, and may we all, dedicate ourselves to our motherland. Later, I heard that Rose served several years in prison. After her release, she couldn't find a job, completely lost the vision in her right eye, and her family, ashamed of her, completely cut ties with her. She could barely support herself and had to make a living by collecting scrap and sweeping the streets. I heard she often lingers around our university gate and gets chased away as a mentally ill person, and ever since I drew a clear line with people like her, life suddenly became so beautiful. I'm surrounded by sincere and upright individuals, all of us delving into academic research together, encouraging one another, with no time at all for those twisted thoughts. I smoothly advanced to graduate school and got into a top-tier international university to pursue a PhD. My mom speaks of me with immense pride. That year, I was 32 years old, a world-renowned research expert in the pharmaceutical field, invited by my alma mater to give a speech. The principal, surrounded by a group of smiling leaders, stood with me, but through the gaps in the crowd, I spotted a female cleaner in the distance. She was dressed in tattered clothes, looking incredibly aged. She held a broom in her hand, her face pale and weary. One of her eyes appeared gray, and she was staring at me blankly. Someone noticed my gaze and immediately pointed at the woman with a smile. "Professor Smith, look, that's a temporary cleaner our school hired." "Rose, What unfortunate timing, she's already in the late stages of cancer, with the cancer cells having spread throughout her body. She didn't make it in time for the new cancer treatment drug you developed, otherwise, she would have definitely been cured. Professor Smith. You've truly made a tremendous contribution to humanity. I heard this year's Nobel Prize has already been decided, and it's you, Professor Smith. I curved my lips into a smile and turned to leave. A group of people immediately followed me as I continued walking. The autumn wind swept up fallen leaves and dust, slamming them against Rose. Her lips trembled violently, tears streaming down numbly, while the blood in her head surged upward in waves. Instinctively, she ran toward me, shouting, "Sarah! Sarah Smith!" Then, with a heavy thud, her entire body crashed to the ground. She lay there amidst a pile of dust and fallen leaves, her life abruptly and carelessly ended, dying from illness, unwilling, filled with regret. And I will continue to stride forward bravely along the brilliant autumn sunlight, creating more happiness and beauty that belong to me. After hearing the two stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.